Hi and welcome. So today I want to share with you about intuitive eating and why it's not the best approach for emotional eaters. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Michelle. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist and emotional eating expert. And I wanted to share this topic about intuitive eating for emotional eaters because I think it can be really confusing. There's so much sort of noise out there. And it's not to say that intuitive eating is wrong. It's actually really amazing, and that's where we want to end up. But as a starting point, it's not the best place to start as an emotional eater. And so, I've seen women with this frustration where they're trying to intuitively eat and they can't tell the difference. They feel compelled to go towards foods that don't make them feel good, and they're listening. They don't know how to discern their true intuition. And I can totally relate because when I was on my own emotional eating journey, and after trying so many diets and feeling so frustrated by so many different rules, I threw everything out the window and I started to just eat whatever I wanted. Whatever I thought of, I ate. I didn't have, you could say that was my intuition, but it was whatever thought was popping up in my head. And at the time I had moved to Korea, I was eating a lot of fried foods and really greasy foods and, things that I normally wouldn't eat. And I started to feel really awful in my body. And so I didn't feel any freer or better. And so for me, when I think of intuition, it's this internal guidance, directing us in the direction of things that make us feel good, that are right for us. And so if we're doing things that are not feeling good in our body, that means we're not really tapping into our true intuition. And so, after I went through this crazy time in Korea and swung to the other extreme, I realized I had to do things differently. And I had to sort of put the different pieces together in order to get to this truer place. And through my own trial and error journey, I found a place where I now call true intuitive eating, because it was before intuitive eating was a thing. And what I find with the way that intuitive eating is taught is that it is still missing a few components. And so, for an emotional eater that has a coping mechanism that's running the show, to just be intuitive is going to be a really hard thing unless you know how to start to build up that intuition. And especially if you've been doing so many diets and you've been inundated with sort of diet mentality, it's hard to move away from that and also then to resolve the emotional eating pattern before you tap into your true intuition. And so I want to share with you how I found my way to my true intuitive eating space and what I teach to clients. And so this is really how I created the Emotional Eating Evolution program. And so I'm going to share with you the areas that are important for you to really tune into to start building up your intuition. So I always start with clients with true nourishment and strategic digestion. And so if we look at diet mentality and diet culture, we are taught a lot of different things of something's wrong with our body. And of course, as an emotional eater, what is happening is that we're using food to soothe ourselves and to cope. And so, and to distract us from uncomfortable emotions or discomfort. And so when we go to diets, they teach us to pull away from our body and ourselves even more. And so in true nourishment, how we start building up that intuition that we've now lost is that we start connecting what is true versus emotional hunger. And so right there, we're discerning the difference, and we can physically do that with practical steps. Then we're learning how to nourish our body, so we're no longer sort of in this hangry mode and eating, so much and binging because we've been, malnourishing ourselves. And we also really focus on strategic digestion. So this is where we're seeing how foods feel in our body. How do we feel after we eat certain foods? Are we feeling energized or heavy? How is our mood after we eat certain foods? Because we are not just the food we eat, everything is sort of connected. So what we eat impacts our mood and impacts our overall well-being as well. So we want to connect in. And as we're connecting in more and more with our body, we're building up our intuition. So I feel like, yes, we're born with intuition, but every experience that we go through builds it up even more and gives us more information. And we hear that voice even louder. The second area that's going to be really important to build up that intuition is with body acceptance. And here is where we sort of remove the noise of that criticism and that punishment mentality and really start looking at how our body is throughout the month. This is for women of reproductive age. What are our energy levels? What are our cravings? What kind of movement do we like to do? Like, what is feeling good in our body? As well as the rituals that are going to support us in making sure that we are, following the rhythms of our body. So for example, having a really solid evening ritual so that you're getting deep sleep, so that it's you're not impacting your mood the next day or your hunger levels. And this is going to give you that intuition in the sense that you're tuning into your body's needs. We're all going to be different. We're all going to need, maybe someone needs 10 hours of sleep and someone needs 6 hours of sleep. But through these processes, we're learning more and more about ourselves and intuiting what we need. And so when we set ourselves up, let's say with deep sleep, the next day our hunger is going to be different than if we had no sleep. So if we had no sleep, our hunger and our moods are going to kind of be out of control. So this is also intuitive. We're learning more and more about our bodies and ourselves. And the sort of last area that I want to focus on that we really build up our intuition, and this is really, I would say, the most important piece of the program that I share with clients who are emotional eaters, is really the emotional wellness phase, where we move through the emotions that are sort of under the coping mechanism, under the emotional eating, and we resolve the emotional eating pattern. And this is important because those emotions that we're running away from with food, they live in our body because they're unprocessed. We don't know how to move through them. And in this phase of the program, we learn to feel safe in our body, to process those emotions, to resolve them, and to move forward in a really powerful way. And when we're able to resolve emotions, they clear out of our body. They continue their flow and they create more space. And the more space we have that isn't clogged up by emotions, the more clarity we have, and the more we're going to be able to hear our intuition and go towards the foods we want to go to, and not be reaching for foods out of an emotional urge or out of a coping mechanism, thinking, maybe that's my intuition. I'm just really craving this. We dive deeper. So, to me, intuition is not so simple as throwing out all the rules. I don't believe that we can just exist in a flow. I think it's important to have a structure to flow from. And so the Emotional Eating Evolution program is created with a structure that you flow from. It's giving you guidance to move through this process, because after so many years of abusing your body with diets and not being connected to yourself, we need that step-by-step process to reconnect back, and practical steps to reconnect back to our body, so that we know this is our intuition and we know that nuance and how to discern that. And so that was my journey, and that's what I guide my clients through, so that they really have a tangible understanding of their intuition and what they need. So if what I'm saying to you is resonating for you, it's sort of the missing piece of why, intuitive eating hasn't been working for you, and you're ready to get that support and guidance to move through your emotional eating, I would love to invite you to book in an emotional eating assessment call. And so on this call, we find out more about you and your goals, and if the program can support you. And if you want more details about the program, I can also leave a link below so you can sort of see what the program, a bit more about the structure. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them below, and please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't. And I look forward to sharing more with you, and I hope you have a great day.